All right. IndieWebCamp Online 2019 Profile Pages Part 2. Yay. All
Just
right.
for me.
That's right.
No, I'm excited. I was actually looking. I was hoping there was going to be a bunch of early morning EU sessions or whatever time, like mid afternoon EU sessions. So it would be early morning my time. So I'm glad that you did this.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
It's funny.
I was specifically asked by David GWG to also participate in one of these. I'm not sure. Was he at the US one of this session?
David was not. No, he was still working.
Okay.
Yep.
So now he's missing both?
Yep.
That's too bad.
Yeah. That's okay. He'll have 2 videos to watch rather than just one. So he won't get to talk, but he can think.
Hopefully there will be some information.
Hopefully.
Greg, do you just want to repeat your question?
Yeah, I was asking because I'm here because I don't have really well, I guess I do have a profile page on Known, but on my main site, I just have an About Me page. And so my question was, do people make a difference? Do you think of them differently, a profile page or an About Me page?
So I think personally that as long as the page describes you in general, then it counts. I'm not so sure about those /now pages, which are much more about what you're doing rather than who you are.
Okay, I see.
But whether like a profile page or an about page, as long as it's describing you, I feel like it's a profile.
That makes sense. Okay, yeah. I think I feel that. I personally don't like. I think I like about pages, but not in the place of being a profile. Like I think in my mind, I kind of see them as 2 different things. Like I could kind of have them like, I guess an about is more like for me, like a history of who you are. And a profile is more like, right. Like I imagine like a profile page would say like, I'm married, but in my history, like I was once single, right? Or for someone who is not married, but maybe was, I don't know if they would want to list it on their history, but that's something that's part of their history, but not part of their current. So I kind of, not that a profile is a now page, but I feel like a profile has a timeliness to the currentness of it. And I feel like an about page sometimes focuses more on your history of who you have been or what you have done rather than like your current situation. I don't know.
I mean, I guess that's kind of what Facebook does. I'm just comparing with Facebook. Facebook is calling it an about page. And then the overview will just be current stuff. Well, mostly current stuff. And then you have to go into different tabs to see other things. And if you want the full history, you'll have to go to live events.
Why don't we, should we put our examples of people have profile pages and About Me pages? Should we, I mean, or does that make no sense to add to the notes?
No, I think that makes sense, especially whether it's ours or other ones we like. If we know of ones that we really enjoy as profile pages, I think that's great to add as examples.
I'll just call it examples, and I won't call it IndieWeb examples.
Yeah. I see Rose asked, so Facebook profiles are more about pages to you because of the timeline. I mean, I guess Facebook profiles do have like the different places you've lived. And I guess that is more of a profile. I mean, I don't know. I guess it is kind of about if it's talking about your history of where you've lived versus like where you are now.
Or it's just your decision on your own domain, whether it's your About Me profile. And yeah, because it was interesting because I was looking through the profile notes and I was going into it and like, oh, good. I'll figure out what this means in terms of, oh, somebody's joining us. Hey, Jackie, how are you?
Oh, we're not hearing you, Jackie, but we did see a little animation like
that you were talking.
Yeah, like Google was getting something, but
Yeah, I think you're just muted, Jack. You have the icon for muted. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so what I was saying is, like, I was going into it more like my About Me page, and people are just calling it a profile page, and I didn't even. But I also don't track. I don't have the ability to track nor desire to track every little detail like you folks do. So maybe I don't, and that's where my confusion was, because I was looking at the notes and be like, oh, that was wrong, because I was thinking about it like, oh, good, I need to figure out like what this representative H card is versus the mini H card on my site, and how best to link to them, and if I messed up my profile page or my About Me page. So it's interesting to hear the different perspectives on what's an About Me and a profile. That is a good for you, Eddie. I think that's a perfect, clear, linear decision. Current versus history.
Yeah. And like you said, that's the good news is because it's your website, you can choose what you want to do with it. But yeah, for me, if I, for me, there's a timeliness aspect, definitely. Because like I don't want to have a bunch of my history like on my homepage, but like one of the things I want to do is I actually want my homepage to become a profile page, kind of like you go to Twitter or to Facebook and you've got like profile information on the kind of left side, oftentimes of your pages. And for me, like that's kind of why I'm going through this homepage redesign of my website. Is I want to shift my homepage to be more of a profile. That's why I added my photo where it wasn't visible before. And then I'm doing things right, like adding my current time and things like that, just try to get some more profile information. I've mentioned in chat before, but I want to start putting in mood. Like, what is my current mood? I'm not going to show my historical mood on my profile, but having the current mood kind of, if someone were wanting to reach out, they could be like, hey, he's happy or he's really upset. Maybe I should or should not reach out right now, based on his last mood check-in. I don't know.
Yeah, I also see Rose writes in the chat that she wants to going back to WordPress, would like her homepage to more like profile-like in respects than just a feed of articles, I'm guessing. Obviously my homepage has always just been a profile, so
yeah, I think that's interesting because I think for a long time people kind of had their homepage for websites as a feed of their blog posts, but I think I've realized recently, like most people, right, like they're not going to go to my homepage to see what I've like posted recently. As long as I have some type of button that's like, hey, here's my posts, you can click on that and get to my posts to see what type of stuff I post. Most stuff, if they're following me in any type of regular way, like they are subscribing via a feed or they are subscribing via email, or they're going to find my Twitter profile or my micro.blog profile and follow that. So I used to feel like my homepage needed to be feeds. So when people got there, they could see my current content. But I feel like less and less, like Rose says in the chat, like, people can know who you are when they get to your page. And I think that's really a big thing. And of course, that's what you do with your site, Martijn, right? Like you always have had your blog as a separate instance. Yeah. And I think that's good because it's like, okay, I can go to your profile or your homepage, see who you are, find links to social media if I want to follow you there, or find links to your RSS feeds to be able to subscribe to you. I think that's good, and I think it's much more of a reality of what people use.
And I've always had, like since day one, I've had a static front page. Even when I was on Blogger, like I always separated, like I always had a landing page that was just a static page. And then but lately I put a bunch of different, because you can't follow all of my feeds or my streams. So I have a bunch of different feeds right in my H card of my homepage, and then just my last 3 recent articles. But that's the only and that's all done manually because I don't know, but that's all I put on my homepage now. But I've always, even with WordPress, because they have that setting, do you want it to be your latest posts or a static homepage? And I've always kind of designed around a static page. And I guess my About Me page has been slightly different because I also needed to be able to be like copy pasted if somebody needs a speaker's bio.
Oh yeah.
So that's usually like I write that as an easy like cut and paste job. So my profile, I guess if I were to have a profile page, it would have to be different. And I like that idea of current. I might fool around with that, and seeing how I could play with that. Because that's I didn't get the separation, but I can get on that separation of history versus current. Because yeah, my About Me page, I want people to be able to copy and paste and throw in a program. It's a little too long. I should probably shorten it now.
Well, so that actually reminds me. There's this really cool. Chris Coyer has a website, and he built CSS Tricks website. But I just put his link in the Etherpad. But when you go to his website, the first thing at the top is a bio, and it allows you to select the length, the style, and the code. So it's like a short, medium, or long bio, style first person or third person, and code either rendered, HTML, or Markdown. And it has a link in case you need a photo.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, and so you can literally just say, okay, I need, a short bio in third person, and it's just a single paragraph.
Oh, I'm totally going to steal this.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. No one's going to my website to get a bio for me right now, so I don't really have a need for it. But if I find a place where that's something more common, I'm totally going to steal this. It's a good
problem to have if it happens.
Exactly.
Well, I'm totally going to steal that idea.
I think Jeremy Adaccio is doing something similar. Adaccio.com/about/myself, I think is his. Oops. Let's see. Which is more of the profile text that describes him, including what he used to do.
I want to add a language button too, and show my profile in like 4 or 5 different languages.
Let's add this link to the Etherpad. There we go.
He has a really cool one. Aaron keeps his stats right on his homepage, like with his number of posts and as like kind of a sparkline little graphy thing.
Yeah, so Jeremy does that on his homepage, and obviously he has a small one-line bio, I guess, on his homepage, where just Jeremy Keith making websites, writing books, speaking at events, living in Brighton, working at Clear Left, playing music, taking photos, answering email, which sums everything up nicely. All those points are linked to other pages, and then he has his little sparkline showing what he's been up to on his website. But then he also has the About Myself page, which is much more, I was born then, I went to school, I play music, so much more, also including like past events, right? The About page we were talking about, rather than just my current profile.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's interesting.
And maybe for Jeremy Keith, it's also a page that he can easily use whenever people ask him, oh, we need to write a blurb about you because you're coming as a speaker. I don't know. That would be an interesting question to ask him. Do you have a blurb somewhere? Do you have a program blurb, as Greg was saying?
Yeah, definitely.
I'm looking for something. I found one page. Hold on a second. Somewhere in Known, they keep stats of everything that you publish. That's how I got my end of the year stats. I'm just like, can't remember where it is now. I'll find it. But it's a neat little, that's how I kind of did I never really got around to doing my end of the year post, but like I started taking notes on it. And that's where I found it. But I'll post that to the chat when I find it. But no need to watch me click around. Oh, good. I was muted and I wasn't sharing my screen.
Oh, no, we could hear you. But yeah, you weren't sharing your screen, but no worries.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of want to redo my homepage simply because I would like to add like a little bio text, which just doesn't fit in the current design at all. But having gotten so much stuck on the design I currently have, which just lists facts, I have a very hard time finding how I'm going to combine that with a textual profile.
Nouns and verbs. Put them in between lists of facts, and they turn into sentences. No, I like I really do.
I have a hard time visualizing, like, if I'm going to redo my homepage, how am I going to do it in a way that I can still present, I can still easily add lots of weird extra new facts, but also have kind of a more, what should we say, intuitive way to present myself? Because a lot of people right now, when I just say, oh, Google me or find me and you'll know how to contact me, they kind of get lost on the page because there's just such a long list of stuff.
That makes sense.
So I want people to find information about me, while at the same time, my website also needs to represent me in some way. So if my current employer or just someone I meet at a party goes in there, searches for me and finds me there, they should be able to just get this little blurb about who I am and what I do, rather than immediately going, oh, this guy's page starts with 5 ways to contact him. And then when I finally get past that, it just says how much he weighs.
Yeah, not the most employer-friendly landing page.
So I do have something like this on my older site.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'm gonna link it here. But it was totally free because like people kept asking me, like, I need like a 2-line bio. It's actually not linked under my main site. Like I had to send this link to you for you to find it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, there's like a 1 sentence and there's like a paragraph thing, like if you need to put like on a big card. But yeah, I actually been wondering, like, how can I make this like really visible? Like, like what's my personal elevator pitch I can just give to people if need be?
That's your About Me page for me, or at least that's what I find. Like when I'm on the speaking circuit, that's the first place people go to. Like if they see an About Me link and they're booking you to speak or anything, and they see that on your website, it's just kind of trained as users to be like, okay, that's where I go to get info. I find.
Jackie, do you mind if this URL ends up on the Etherpad and on the wiki?
Oh, good point. Good ask.
No, not yet. No, that's totally fine.
Okay.
No, not yet. No.
It's like, no, all my text is under the ODF license. Like,
no, it's more like people have shown, I don't know, ways they've displayed travel itineraries and stuff like that. And when pages aren't already publicly linked, I don't want to assume that we can put them in notes.
Oh yeah, no, you could class this as an unlisted link, not necessarily private.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
I cannot find that page.
Yeah, but this is definitely. I also like that the first paragraph starting with your name is kind of like, here's the whole thing in just 2 lines of text, and then it goes, here's the whole thing again, but in slightly more lines of text.
Yeah, precisely. Like, how much time do you have right now?
Yeah, that's nice because that's a non-interactive version of kind of what was on Chris Cohere's site or whatnot, where like you could select it. But this is like, rather than making someone choose their length and choose this writing style, you just provide 2 good default options of things that people might want to read or use.
I posted a link for one that I wrote, I wrote with my buddy. But I'm thinking, because I like Jackie's page, I like the small, medium, large, and I think real quickly I can just use summary and details because I've been so addicted to those lately, just to make a medium big, like a small, medium, big bio. Yeah, and just collapse it that way. I'm totally going to steal that from you, Jackie. That's a great idea. I want that. I want with that other gentleman, the other page you shared, but that that's going to take me time. And
yeah. I like the simplicity of this actually.
I'm gonna get yelled at for not playing hockey in a second.
Feel free to run out.
All right, John, I'm coming. Right. I have to go I have to go play hockey. I'll finish out the video later. Bye, everybody.
Have a good one.
Have a good one, Greg.
But yeah, that's cool. I also like how it has a couple of publications that have quoted you or referenced you, Jackie. That's pretty cool. So that, it helps give people a perspective outside of who you say you are. That's pretty good.
It is interesting because at the title publications, I'm thinking of stuff you have written rather than publications that mention me.
That makes sense.
But that might also just be because I've seen a ton of like
no, you're right.
academic pages, which are often like publications or specifically things they have done.
Yeah, no, I've gotten that a lot. I was planning to change it to references, but like it's like it hasn't been like a heavy thing for me to check on.
No.
Ooh, it is cold in this room.
It just took me a second to realize that those weren't articles you had written.
Yeah, yes, yeah, exactly. That. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Audio setup.
Yeah, I wonder if I should have something like this that is a separate page, or that I need to find a way to integrate this with my current page. I'm just not sure yet. I don't.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the way your website is set up right now, I kind of feel like it would be a separate page. I mean, you could put like a short summary post at the very top or something. So it's not that you couldn't do it, but it does seem like they're two different purposes. Like one is like how to contact you, how to know more about you, and the other is like a summary of who you are, you know?
Yeah, I think the biggest question I'm having is, what should my homepage be, right? Should my homepage be this about page that introduces me, or is it supposed to be these lists of facts or this contact card?
Yeah, that's true.
Or are those two things the same thing? Those would be the questions I'm kind of looking at.
Yeah,
it's different for me, I think, than for several other people we have in the community, because we see a lot of people who come from a blog page or a home page that just show the feed of content, and they are kind of going, how can we maybe summarize the content and have more information about myself, which I think might be where you're leaning to, Eddie.
Yeah, that's definitely where I'm leaning to, because also like I don't want to remove all of the kind of feed content from my page, but I want to either summarize it or show you the most recent. So like right now in my recent revamp of my homepage, I only show the 2 most recent notes, the 3 most recent articles, and then I show you the last couple of podcast episodes I did, photos I took, and the last couple things that I watched and listened to. And then here soon I'll have the last couple of games I played on the Nintendo Switch. So, you know, so that's kind of like the vibe is like, okay, here's some stuff about me, and here's some of the like absolutely most recent things I did. And if you want to dig in deeper, you can go off into the direction that's going to kind of tell you more about, you know, me and what I've done or whatnot.
Right. I think you kind of touched on it a bit, Martin, regarding like what does that identity look like? Because I was actually wondering to change my page to be like a weekly kind of auto archive or summary. Like so far this week, I've posted like 10 notes, 3 pictures, in this. What have you done? And like kind of like try to start a conversation on my site. I thought the cameras would not put into it. Because like you're visiting me, my digital identity per se. It's not like another part of me. Like it is me. The content I produce is like the parts of me that makes a whole. So it's like a whole design thing. Like more like on a how can I not to necessarily pull people there, but like how can I make it a page like if they think of me, they can go there first before coming to me in person. Which also kind of alludes a bit to my management style as well. So
that's funny. Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I kind of sorry. I kind of feel like the whole like now page movement, that was kind of one of the ideas. I know, Martijn, you said, you didn't really see a now page as much as a profile page, but interestingly, I feel like Jackie's approach is kind of around a now page, which is like, if you want to know what I've been up to recently, like instead of like just reaching out to me immediately, like you can glance at this page, see what I've been doing, see what I've been up to. And then if you have further questions, then you can kind of reach out through that page or whatnot.
Right. I have to fix that page though. There's like broken links in there and I have not gotten around to fixing it. Like if you're really curious, you could just like search the broken link. Like it's not that big of a deal, but links to books. Oh, actually, looks like 2 people have reported a bug. Womp womp. Okay, I should fix that. Yeah. Profile.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure yet what I'm gonna do. I think I kind of want the thing that Jackie is describing, where if you go to my homepage, that's where you find me, right? And I think that it's already pretty true. Like, as far as you can get a pretty clear picture of who I am from checking all the facts on my homepage.
Right.
But that's often not the way people think about being introduced to a person.
Yeah.
I think that might describe my issue with my current homepage the best, where it's like people don't think of, okay, I'm gonna let me start to know who Martijn is. And with that, they don't think of, oh, these are physical descriptors. This is what he's afraid of. This is what he likes to eat.
Right.
What they want to see is like, oh, what's he doing? What's he working with? What's going on in his life?
You could make it a little interesting. So I spent a lot of time looking at random websites of the web that do like little quirky things, or like little things that people don't notice, but when you do, you're like, that's cool. Postmark, for example, their landing page, they change the person avatar ever so slightly every time you refresh the page. I use them for mail for like my consultancy and for other projects. I'm gonna link it in the chat here. But they just change the avatar so slightly. It creates that personal feel that everybody's different who comes in. I guess in your case, you can use like one of those facts about you as a conversation starter. Like, how would you break the ice? Like, oh, randomly, did you know I'm afraid of this? Or you could talk like, oh, I happen to weigh like this much in books. Or like, you could pick something that works with the data you have in sight. Granted, that's a little dynamic. It wouldn't be static. So there's that angle there. But I don't know, like something that could elicit a conversation.
That's interesting.
These are also like ideas I have on a whiteboard, like right on top of this monitor. So, I'm just like writing them as like the day passes. Like, I don't know, this would be a good idea. But like, I just have not gotten to any of them. So I'm hoping somebody does it and that it's great. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm gonna do it too.
A little bit of this was actually something I discussed with some people in Berlin. When was Berlin? Berlin was in October? Question mark.
IndieWebCamp, that time.
And for a while, I was looking at. I got hooked on other projects during the hack day, but we were looking for a while at randomizing the measurement units on my page, so that right now it's just my height is meters, my weight is kilograms, but those could be different units every time you refresh the page.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And we were kind of going like, okay, what are weird units we could use? For a while, I was thinking, because Aaron used to publish his weight, I could just put my weight in percentage of Aaron or something like that.
That's actually excellent.
That's
so
awesome.
we had a bit of a thought about like spicing up the page with the small things like that. Although I'm not sure whether all the development time that would require is actually worth it for the joke. It's still very funny. Yeah, so I do want to sneak in some of those minor things. I don't know. I currently feel restricted by the design of my page, I guess, is my biggest issue.
Yeah, that's tough. And it's interesting because that's something I feel like I've been running into as well, which is I haven't quite figured out what kind, like, I want to do a lot of different things with my homepage, and like what kind of design is going to enable me to get the type of information, right? Like I want a little bio and I want these stats, I want some recent posts and I want kind of some of the stat type information that you have, Martijn. So it's like, how do you get all of that into a single page and not make it look like spaghetti on the wall? And I think that's one of the big challenges that all of us really have, is how to get the stuff laid out nicely, because we can easily box ourselves into corners.
Yeah. Another thing I had on the wall, it's like, what can I use? Like I was gonna use like user agent detection. Like if somebody came straight off a search engine, then I'll do the complete icebreaker thing. But if somebody came in from a direct link or a hot link, Or better, okay, this was actually some part of the thing I was working on, like make a nickname cache. If somebody came in from a referrer, which was somebody in my nickname cache, like a link, I would try to find like a conversation topic about like how I met this person, like make that appear on the page, which is like, this is so much extra stuff, but like it builds like a relationship. Like, oh, looks like it came from Aaron's site. Aaron and I both like this particular type of pizza. Like little, look, it's so small, but it's like, wow, this person spent the time to not only build a relationship to the person I just met or, you know, digitally met, but like they can like resurface it. And it's the same thing. Like maybe I'm just like trying to like game my website to increase engagement of some sort, but like it's a genuine, like I'm inviting you into my life, which is online.
Yeah.
I want to see how the conversation folds.
It's cool because it makes it more personal, right? Like, yeah, I think that's really cool. I don't, you know, I think I can see how people might use that as like gaming it, or whatnot. But I think, you know, when it's done authentically, like you're talking about, like I think that's actually really good. And I think it's interesting because you could also say, like, if you had, say, you knew they came from Aaron's site and he's in your nickname cache, and you have like him tagged as like IndieWeb or whatever, then you could even say like, hey, here are a few posts that you might like if you like Aaron's posts or something like that.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
that's really cool. It really starts to head in a direction where you can understand, because that's one thing I thought about is, so I have eddiehinkle.com, which is my personal website. And I used to have edwardhinkle.com that was like what I would put on a resume and a business card, and I would give it to people.
Right.
And so then I had a thought one time, and I ended up dismissing it because I thought it might get too sticky. But what I thought was, if someone enters edwardhinkle.com, it should forward them to eddiehinkle.com, but then set a cookie to say like they are looking at me for professional reasons, and basically alter my website to be like even potentially some of the styling or different things like that, like to turn into a more professional thing of the same like website. But I think the cookie from the other URL is a little bit was not the best tactic, but I like looking at the referrer and saying, where is this person coming from? You know, because I think showing something to someone who knows someone, or like say someone found me, started following me on Twitter that they found from my website, that they found from IndieWeb.org. So like I can say, hey, if the referrer is IndieWeb.org, which I know has, you know, a bunch of links to me, like talk about some IndieWeb stuff, show some IndieWeb stuff, like
right.
You know, yeah. So that, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, because I guess like that's the whole thing about profiles. Like if you were to profile somebody, like meet somebody in real life, like it's not a repeatable process. Like you're a different person. Not to say completely, but like you're a different experience every time you meet somebody. So I'm trying to reflect that organicness online, which is, I mean, it's going to be always hard. For everything you create, there'll be two more things that pop up. So yeah, that's my like that's like my, I would say my tie-in back to the concept of profiles here.
That's really cool. I like it.
It's just a matter of getting it done now.
Yeah.
That's always the problem. Time and then getting it done and choosing what project you want to get done.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of slightly changing my website depending on where people are coming from.
Yeah.
I also do like actually the idea, Eddie, of having a professional domain that I can give out, and that then tweaks my homepage.
Yeah.
While on the other hand, I think also a lot of people are very likely to just write your name on Google, and then it really doesn't matter anymore.
No, for sure. And that's what, like, I never post anything on my website that I wouldn't want an employer to find, but I'm like, well, you know, you want, if they are going to first visit the website you give them, you want it to be like, hey, like, this is, you know, like, let me show you a little bit about who I am professionally. And then if they find your personal stuff, that's cool. But they know you're not trying to push personal stuff off as a professional presence. Like they can kind of differentiate between the two. They know, okay, you know, I Googled them and this is their personal site, but then this is the URL that they gave me and this is their professional site. So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I'd first have to find a profile page that I like again before going into the whole let's differentiate it depending on who's visiting it.
Absolutely.
Totally. Yeah, no. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, like you said, find a generic, profile page that you're happy with, and then you can start saying, okay, how would this look if someone didn't know me? And then you can start changing things based on if it's like from a search engine or something, But yeah.
Yeah, and I think another thing that I think is interesting, I don't know if you guys have any thoughts about it, but that's also what Facebook does with the whole photos you're tagged in. So whenever I visit someone's Facebook profile, I get to see more pictures of them than just their chosen display picture, right?
That's true.
And I don't think really any one of us that I know of on the indie web has multiple photos of themselves on their like homepage or profile page.
My site has 2. And there was a period of time where I kept rotating through. Like the one that's using my H card is one of me looking directly at you. Well, I should say on Jacket at WTF. Like the homepage has this one picture of me looking straight down at the text. But H card uses a different photo. And I was debating, depending on the screen orientation, I was going to flip the photo around because I have another one looking the other way, but it's like a completely different photo. So there's that. Because like if the screen's wide enough, if you look at the photo, like the eyes line up with the text as if I'm reading it with you. So that was like one like, oh, that's cool kind of thing. But yeah, I've been toying with the idea of like having multiple photos. But largely for like festive reasons. Like that'd be it.
And that's kind of what Aaron did now, right?
Yeah.
Last update where he changes his display picture on the website depending on what was it, the last emoji he posted?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
So the icon for every post is related to the emoji inside of them, but I think his official like profile photo on the homepage is just a static photo.
Okay.
Yeah. So he has his static photo up next to his text, and that never changes. But then if you scroll down, he has a profile photo attached to every single post, and those ones change based on the emoji. That's within that post.
The 2 beer mugs cheers emoji gives a great photo.
That really does.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I think I don't know. I think here these are still photos that he made under pretty much the same conditions, like lighting wise and so on. While I think there might be value in just having multiple pictures of myself in different, like you'd see on my Facebook profile. It's like, oh, this is my actual profile picture that I picked of my face. But here's also a picture where I was out on dinner, and here's a picture of me on the beach, and here's a picture of whatever.
Yeah, so interestingly, when I go to my profile photo right now, it has a banner at top, it has my avatar, and then when you scroll down, it has like your intro stats section. What's on the right side is your wall. And then underneath the intro and stats is photos, which is just your most recent 9 photos. It's not necessarily anything you're tagged in.
Oh, I thought they were only stuff I'm tagged in. Or I'm just very lucky to have 9 photos. My last 9 photos all feature me.
I think because then when I click on the photos tab, and it opens up to actually the photos page, then it shows photos of you, which include photos where people have tagged me, and then your photos and albums. So the only place I personally see like photos I'm tagged in is if I click on the photos tab, not on my home screen. But that, I don't know, maybe it's different.
No, I think you might be right. I was thinking that way because my little photos thing with the 9 photos on my profile page started with only photos I'm tagged in. But now I'm thinking that even though those photos were on a different page, I may have shared them to my own timeline, which would still put them in there.
Yeah, that makes sense. As soon as you share them to your own timeline, then it adds it to the left.
Yeah. Okay. So I was under the impression that these were still also things that people had tagged you in, and maybe that you then accepted the tag on, but apparently not.
I think
because that's what
would be
they
interesting.
used to do that. Well, they used to do that, and I know that back when I was in high school, there was this little period where Facebook used to just put, I think, right on your profile, maybe even instead of the cover photo that we have these days, small timeline of, I don't know, 4 photos or something. And people used to then write a text on a banner-sized photo, cut it up in 4 photos, post them to their own wall, and tag you in all 4. And that way they could kind of force something on your profile to happen.
Interesting. I've been on Facebook a while. I never saw anyone do that. That's very interesting.
Yeah, you were safe.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was a Facebook feature, and obviously you get all the high school sort of texts that you would imagine people would put those on other people's profiles.
Right.
Of course. Yeah.
So I guess I understand why Facebook no longer automatically accepts all the photos that you get tagged in. I also don't know how I would pull those photos from other places on the internet if I were to do it on my own homepage. But I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm playing with this idea where if I want to give people a good idea of who I am, maybe I need to show myself at different times in different situations and not just the display picture that everyone already sees.
No, I think that's a good point. Definitely. Even if it's just photos you're posting, right? Like on my homepage, I have the 4 most recent photos I've posted. Unfortunately, once upon a time, my most recent photos were selfies of me and my wife going out and doing fun things. And now my 4 most recent photos, well, there's some tech stuff and podcast stuff, but is of my son. Although maybe that tells someone about my life recently. Like, I'm not really going out and doing anything. Like, if you want to know about me, I'm at home with my son. So, I mean, there's value to that. So that's interesting.
It also requires people to be monitoring that change, though.
Well, I guess it's not about like monitoring the change, but if someone gets to your website, like what are the first 4 photos they see, right? Like, what are the things they see that you've posted recently? Because that tells them something about the current place of your life, even if they don't know the historical relevance of that.
I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah.
Interestingly, on Facebook, I also noticed, I think this is new. On the left, it says, "Did you know? Answer a question to help people get to know you."
Oh, that's very new. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's been going around a little. I've seen it a couple of times, and I think the questions are very hit and miss. Or maybe it's just the questions that people that I'm friends with end up sharing the answers to on their timeline.
Yeah,
but a lot of the questions I'm like, it's really just another, I think, engagement metric that Facebook added.
Oh yeah, like how well the person.
I actually, when I click that thing, answer the question. The first question it asks me is a question submitted by one of my Facebook friends. I don't know if you had that too, Eddie.
Yeah. It says like so and so answered this, and then it says the question like this one is the season I love the most is ...
Okay, yeah. So I'm on my profile page. I scrolled to that little box on the left. Did you know? I pressed answer question, and what it came up with was, I find these Facebook questions irritating because ... question by, and then a name of my friend. So they're already submitting questions for me to answer that are basically just this questions function is weird.
Yeah. Oh, and I see. If you answer the question, all it does is make a post on your profile. Okay, that's lame. See, I was thinking you collect like a Q&A like on the left side of your profile or something is kind of what I thought it would do. Yeah, that's lame.
I'm not sure where the answers end up. Let me check a profile of someone I know who has answered questions. Come on, internet. But yeah, I do think here, so if you go to a profile of someone who has answered questions, then that same box where on your own profile you can only click like I want to go answer questions, they will have 6 little boxes with the questions. And then you can check them out. You can click on one, and I'm assuming it gets my answer. Yeah, okay. So if you then click on it, you don't get a very specific view. You just go to their posts where they've answered.
Almost like a tag page where it's like all the posts tagged with like, did you know, essentially.
Oh, it's probably just the property type.
Yep, exactly. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of having like, it's almost like frequently asked question, but they did a good job of making it visual and engaging. So I don't know. That's kind of interesting. I also noticed Facebook, of course, lists your friends, and that reminded me of the referrer thing that you were talking about, Jackie, where it's like you could say, like, if you were able to like link people in your back end of your site to say, hey, these people are related. If someone came from like Aaron's site, then you could be like, hey, like, here are some of the other people that like, I'm friends with, kind of like a customized blog role in a way.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Like, here's some other people you might find interesting. Like, if you came from Aaron and you're looking at me. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Because I know discovery is a big thing. I mean, post discovery, but all like both post discovery and kind of people discovery is a big thing that I know David is wanting to push in this next year of the IndieWebCamp. So that's interesting because that kind of lines up with that a little bit.
I think discovery has always been very interesting, and I think might even be harder for profile pages than just for posts.
Oh yeah.
Because theoretically we could go, oh, I've read these posts by Eddie and I think they're nice, so you can go and read them too. While it's probably less accepted, wrong word, but you'd be less likely to go, oh, I've met these 3 people this weekend. Maybe go check out their profile pages.
Yeah, that would not be as acceptable, I don't feel like.
Right.
And the same with, I think for a while, sometimes people bring it up and it's the whole, like, is there a way to do like indie dating? Like, can your profile page be a dating profile?
Yeah, I remember that being talked about.
And that's the same thing, right? Do you put everything that you would put on a dating profile on like your main public profile? How do you want this information to then spread around? What sort of network are you looking to date in? I think those are very hard questions, but also different questions, right?
It does feel like a different context.
Yeah, it's a very important context thing, and I'm not sure a general profile page actually fits in those types of contexts.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Well, it looks like I just noticed we've reached the end of the hour, so we've got auto auth coming up at in the next minute or so. So
we have to look if we can. We have to see if we can pull Sven in. Otherwise, we might have to move off of Hangouts.
Yep, exactly. So we'll go ahead and end this broadcast if anyone's watching on YouTube, and you can check on the IndieWeb Wiki or on the IndieWeb chat in the Meta channel to see if we are moving off of YouTube and Hangouts to the IndieWeb Jitsi server.